There's a lot of opinions out there about how to EQ different instruments in a song. Some people live by the notion that you should only do subtractive EQ and take frequencies away. Other people think that you can sweeten the audio and do broad EQ boosts. Well, what no one is really talking about is how to know when you've added or taken away enough of that EQ, regardless if it's additive or subtractive. This seems to be a missing link in a lot of people's toolbox when they're trying to make their own music sound awesome. So in this video today, I'm going to share with you my technique of how I do an EQ bounce and know when I'm taking or adding the right amount. And this technique works for any instrument. This is something I'm borrowing out of my mastering course that I have available. So if you want to learn how to master music and self-release it, that might be something to check out. I have a link to all that stuff in the description. But before we get started, I want to let you know that I have a special gift for you. In the description, not only do I have that mastering course, but I also have a free downloadable guide that has all of my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins. These are plugins that I use all the time. I know they sound great. So if you're looking for a new tool to use in your song, definitely go and check that out. All right, this is a song that I mixed and mastered a long time ago by a band called Deer Spring. These dudes are awesome. I have a link to their music in case you dig it. This is the song we're going to be working with. Not bad. Now, let's talk about how to know when you're EQing the right amount out of something. And I'm literally going to show you how to implement this on every single instrument. It's going to get redundant, but guess what? This is a technique that works so well, you're never going to question yourself moving forward. Now, something that we definitely need to consider is you shouldn't do a lot of EQing in solo. You really need to do a lot of EQing in context of the entire song. That's beyond the scope of this video. But for a first pass, anytime you have to mix a song, you should listen to each element in solo and just identify if something sounds unbalanced or unnatural. Then you want to go and make some quick moves and adjust the frequency balance so it sounds smoother and makes more sense in the context of the song. So let's start with everybody's favorite, the kick drum. Okay, it sounds pretty good as is. There's something going on in the low mids that I'm hearing that I'm not really liking, and I wish there was a little bit more air and space to the kick drum. So usually for me to add air to a kick drum, I'll just do a little high shelf here. Okay, and I move it around really quickly just to find a sweet spot that sounds the best to me off of my initial gut instinct. Do not go slowly. You want to be quick here. When you found your spot, the secret to dialing in the right amount is to literally bounce the EQ up and down, okay? We're going to find the spot where it's obviously way too bright. Then we want to go in the opposite direction. Pull it down until it's obviously way too dark. Then go up. Find the spot where it's a little bit too bright, then go back down, then find the spot where it's a little bit too dark, and then you bounce back and forth until you dial in the sweet spot. Let me show you exactly how to do that. Too much? Too dark? Too much? Too dark? Right there. So that is the bouncing EQ technique. I just made up that technique name today, so I don't know, it might change, whatever. Now, something I want to mention is usually there's a shortcut in your DAW that will lock the frequency in as you move your EQ up and down. In Cubase, it's control. So if I hold the control key down and I touch this EQ and I move it up and down, I can't change the frequency left and right, okay? So that makes it really easy for you to dial that in just right. So let's also address the muddy frequencies in this kick drum. We're going to use the same approach. Let's grab an EQ, move it around until we find something that sounds really annoying or enhances that annoying frequency that we hear. Okay, that's that basketball sound that I'm not digging in this track. So let's start here now that we identified the frequency, and then bounce the EQ and find the sweet spot. Of course, Marty would stop playing the kick drum there. Right there. It also has a little bit too much length. I think the song's a little bit more upbeat, so I'm going to roll off some of that really subby low end. So I'm going to do that with, again, a low shelf and maybe put a little bit of a resonant punch in there to kind of accent the initial attack. And again, I'm going to do the same technique. So right there sounded pretty good to me. Let's get it out of solo and listen to it in the context of the mix. Sounds pretty good. It might be a touch too bright, so I just dialed it back half dB. That's it. Let's move on to the next element. So let's do something that takes a lot of EQ, and in my experience, that's the drum room mics. Let's listen to what those sound like. All right, so it sounds a little bit, again, muddy. We want to really scoop out that mid-range to open it up for the guitars, the bass, and the vocals to live in. The drum room space kind of occupies a really, really large frequency range, so it's okay to dig out some of the low mids. We are in solo, and let's find the annoying muddy frequencies that kind of make the mix feel a little smaller. Right here. Okay, now let's do the Bouncy EQ technique. Too much. I'm also noticing those cymbals are getting kind of harsh. So let's go back and scoop out a little bit of this cymbal harshness. Yeah, right here. I think that's probably good. It sounds pretty balanced to me. There might be a little bit too much sizzle. Let's see if we can attenuate some of that. Yeah, that is what I'm hearing. Let's get rid of some of that. Too much. Cool, right there sounds about right to me. Okay, this is a drum room mic, right? It's not overheads. We want it to sound like a room. All right, let's listen in context. Feels really good. All right, cool. Let's go on to the bass guitar and see what we come up with when we listen to it in solo. Here we go. It's immediately I can hear this wah, wah, wah sound. That like nasally, like French chef kind of sound. I don't know. Is that an American thing? I don't know, whatever. It's about 500 hertz, okay? So if you hear that sound, that's where you should look. Right there. I mean, it was on the money, right? We need to pull some of that out. So right there feels pretty good to me. And again, did the EQ bounce strategy. Okay, there's a little bit too much string noise for me. Before I start digging that out, let's check in the context of the mix to see if the string noise is jumping out. And it isn't. So actually, I don't want to mess with that. I think it sounds fine. And that's the important part of listening in context. I should do a whole nother video on that, but right now I got to stay focused. We're doing the EQ stuff. All right, let's do everybody's favorite, the guitars. All right, so there's this, there's two regions that drive me crazy in guitars. It's 4K and 2K. And this to me sounds like it's pushing a little hard in the 2K region. So let's take an EQ and see what we can find. Yeah, right there. Okay, so here's the area that we want. Okay, let's not spend too much time. Let's do the EQ bounce. Find that sweet spot where it fits in. Too much. Right there. And that's money. Ooh, sounds so good. I hear a little 4K action going on. Definitely there's this sizzle. There's this like white noise hiss. We got to get rid of it. Right there. Thank you. At like 4K on the dot. Let's widen it out a little bit and then do the bounce. Bouncing and flossing, that's all I'm saying. All right, let's listen one more time. There's a cabinet resonance that's going on, maybe around 100, 150 hertz. Let's try and find that. Right there. So let's dig that out. Cool. It just helps to tighten up the guitars a little bit more, right? We don't want to take all of it out because we're going to lose all of the warmth, but we want to pull that out because it's not consistent and it just is kind of distracting. All right, let's check in context, make sure we didn't screw something up. Okay, let's bypass the EQ. Oh, it's so much smoother, and the guitars just kind of get pushed to the sides, and then there's this nice space for the vocal to live. All right, let's go to the vocals. See what Jonah's got cooking. So what I'm hearing in the context of the music is that Jonah doesn't feel like he's close enough to the listener. So let's find frequencies that bring the vocalist closer to us. And that tends to be around like between 1 and 5K. So let's just explore that area and find a frequency range that sounds pleasing that brings him forward. That actually sounds really good right there. So let's go back to the context of the music and then do the EQ bounce technique to make sure it's not getting harsh or pokey in the mix. That sounds really good to me. Cool. I mean, it might be a touch sibilant, so maybe we'd want to search around like the 8K range. Just see if we can find something that really jumps out. I want to be careful because it adds a nice air and presence to the vocal that's needed to keep up with the guitars, but let's just see what we can find. Yeah, right here it seems to be like a little bit of a hot spot in terms of sibilance. So let's go back in the context and do the EQ bounce. Yeah, I think that's actually the right move. So this strategy works not only on the instrument level, but it also works on the master bus. So if you're trying to master your songs and you're not quite sure how much to take out or if something sounds or feels right, just do this bounce technique. It'll let you know right away if you're making a good decision or a bad one. And the reason we overshoot and then undershoot is to regain perspective on the song. It's so easy to lose perspective, especially if you're doing really small, slow EQ moves. In a matter of seconds, our brains tell us that it sounds awesome, even though it probably doesn't. And it might not be a bad idea to also check in with your references from time to time as well. So there you go, the EQ bounce technique. Let me know in the comments what you think. How do you EQ your instruments? I'm super curious. Let me know in the discussion below. Do not forget that I have my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins guide waiting for you to download in the description. So go and grab that before you leave this video. And while you're at it, you might as well hit the thumbs up button. Show me some love. Tell YouTube this video is actually helpful, and then hit that subscribe button if you want more videos like this sent to you every single week. And with that, I want to thank you so much for your time and attention tonight. My name is Bobby Balo. I'm the mixing and mastering engineer at Rayton Productions, and I hope to see you in another video.